Next, what we need to do is set up some styling for our snowflake animation. So to set this up, we're going to go above our media query and we're going to target our snowflake class. And don't worry, we haven't created this class yet, but we will in our JavaScript in a moment. So first we need to create a position and we need to change this to absolute. And we want to use our top property and make this minus 10 pixels, followed by a left value of 50%. And this is going to act as the default for our snowflakes here. And we're going to say we want a width of 10 pixels, followed by a height of 10 pixels. And then we want our background color to simply be white, like snow. And then we want to create a border property, make our border 1 pixel. We want this to be solid, and our color for this is going to be a off-white color so you guys can see it on the screen a little bit easier. Now we're going to use our border radius property, set this to 50%, which is going to make our element a perfect circle. Next, we need to create our animation property, and the first value here is going to be the animation that we will create in a second, and we will call this our fall animation. We want to say that this is going to be a linear animation, and this is going to happen forever, so we'll set it to infinite. Then to make sure that this displays over everything on our screen, we want to use a z index of 1 here. Next, we're going to use our keyframes here so we can create our fall animation that we just tied into our snowflake class here. And first we need to set 0%, and at 0% we want to set our transform property to translate y, and we want this to be 0 because that's where we want it to start at 0%. And next we need to include 100% here, and this is also going to simply have a transform property of translate y. We want this to move across the entire viewport height, so we're going to put in 100 VH here. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we set the default left to 50%, but we want all of the elements to spread across the page at a different left value, so we have it falling across the whole page here. So to do this, what we're going to do is use what's called a pseudo class selector. So this is going to start off with snowflake, and then we want to get the first instance of our snowflake class, meaning the first element that has this class attached to it in our HTML. So we'll say nth child and we'll put 1 right here. So for our first snowflake, we want the left value to be 10%, and we want the animation duration to be 8 seconds long. So we'll put 8 followed by S for seconds. And at this point, we can just copy this and paste it down below 4 more times. And then at this point, we just want to select our second snowflake, change the left value to 30 seconds, the animation duration to 5 seconds, select our third element, change this to our standard 50%, and change our duration to 6 seconds, target our fourth and our fifth, change our left to 70 here and 90 for our fifth, and 10 seconds and 7 seconds respectively. We are going to move on past all of this code up here. And just to remind you guys, I'm going to go back to my index.html and we're going to target our snow container class that we created earlier in today's video. So from here, we'll go back to our JavaScript file, create a constant variable called snow container, make this equal to document.query selector, and we want to get a class, so we need to make sure that we include our period here followed by the name of our class. And remember, we already created all of the styling and animations for our snowflake elements. So in our JavaScript file, all we're going to do is dynamically create each one of our snowflakes. So we'll do this by creating a function, and we're going to call this create snowflakes, and we're going to pass in a number. So this is going to be how many snowflakes we want to create on our page. And all we need to do here is create a for loop, and we're just going to use the standard of I and make that equal to 0. And we want this to run when I is less than number. And then we want to increment the loop each time. And inside of this for loop, we'll create a constant variable called snowflake. Make this equal to document.create element. And here, all we need to do is create a div element for each one of our snowflakes. And after we create that snowflake div, we need to target it, use .ClassList, and we want to add the class of snowflake. And remember, this is what we created in our styles.css right here. And what we want to do is add this to our snow container at the beginning. So we'll use prepend. If you guys want it at the end, just use append, and we just need to prepend our snowflake variable here. Now this is not doing anything because we haven't called the function yet, so down below I'll go ahead and call the create snowflakes function, and I want to create exactly 5 snowflakes. And at this point, you guys can see now that our snowflake animation is happening, and we have our simple snowflakes falling down the screen at different speeds and at different times. Tap here to see what happens next.